And we are live. Welcome back, everybody. Some recent discoveries beneath the Giza Pyramids have sent shockwaves through the archaeological community and beyond. In fact, this could be one of the greatest discoveries of humanity, and it will challenge everything that we think about reality. Welcome to the Revo Report. We're inspiring faith with reason and reason with faith. And so I have for you some graphs here, some 3D models of what that potentially looks like, some comparisons to some major buildings in the world, like the Burj Khalifa, Empire State Building here, the Eiffel Tower, the Grand Canyon, and what we're looking at over here. I've also made some 2D models and also some infographics on some of the complexities of this behind the science, the history, the archaeology of it, and also what could be causing this. We want to get to the heart of that because on March 15th, 2025, researchers Corrado, Malanga from the University of Pisa and Filippo Biondi from the University of Strathclyde released their groundbreaking findings revealing an intricate and vast underground complex that challenges our understanding of ancient Egyptian capabilities. What did this? And so using advanced synthetic aperture radar, SAR, tomography, the team uncovered a subsystem extending approximately 2 kilometers beneath all 3 major pyramids of the Giza complex. And so we'll look right over here. You can see that. Let me make it full screen right now. Right there. Now you can see the comparison here. Okay, you can see the comparison between the Eiffel Tower, the Empire State Building, the Grand Canyon. These are massive. Okay, so 5 identical structures near the base of the pyramid, each with 5 horizontal levels and sloping roofs connected by geometric pathways. 8 cylindrical structures described as vertical wells surrounded by descending spiral pathways. You can see right there. And these wells descend to an astonishing depth of 600 meters, where they merge into 2 massive cubic structures, each measuring about 80 meters per side. So the scale and complexity of this, you can zoom in here. Look at that. I mean, the scale and the complexity of what is happening here is absolutely wild. Look at these structures here. Now, these aren't small cubes here, right? These are 80 meters per side. So the scale and complexity of this underground network is staggering, especially when considering the technological limitations of the ancient world. Now, even with today's engineering capabilities, constructing such an extensive subterranean complex would be an enormous challenge. And so to put this into perspective, the deepest mines in the world today reach depths of around 4,000 meters. But these are the result of centuries of technological advancement and require constant maintenance to prevent collapse. This alleged 648 meter deep wells beneath Giza would have been an incredible feat of engineering for the ancient Egyptians. In fact, it would have been impossible. And we're going to go into some of those details outlined right over here. I mean, even when you look at the most modern technology for underground construction, it can typically excavate about 15 meters per day in ideal conditions. So at this rate, creating this 2-kilometer network would take years, not accounting for the intricate structures described. Years in our day and age. What about thousands and thousands of years ago to be able to go this deep underground? And so when you look at the complexity of all of this, it seems near impossible. And especially to get it aligned geometrically over such vast distances underground would be challenging even with today's laser-guided equipment and computer modeling. But for the ancient Egyptians to achieve this level of accuracy without modern surveying tools, flashlights under there, would be inconceivable. Moreover, let's look at the issues and the complexities that's going to have to take place. These impossible depths, okay, 2 kilometers deep. Look at the Osiris shaft, 30 meters deep, 2 kilometers deep, 2,000 kilometers deep. Sorry, 2,000 meters deep. I mean, this is insane. These these Egyptians would run into heat problems because at that depth, you're talking negative 80 degrees Celsius. My question, how were they able to build this perfect two cubes right at the bottom? How are you able to build these right at the bottom when it's 70 degrees Celsius down there? I mean, at 45 Celsius, it's dangerous for humans to even be in that temperature. You're talking sauna level temperatures here. Even today, deep mines require extensive cooling infrastructure. There's certain mines that spend 6 million annually just on cooling alone. Not to mention, even at 1 kilometer down, 1,000 meters down, it would have been 50 degrees Celsius already. How is this possible? Now, not only that, but let's look at pressure. You look at the atmospheric pressure. At 2 kilometers depth, the pressure from overlying rock would exceed 7,000 SI. Now, remember when you fill up your tires, what's the PS of your tires? 40 PSI, 45 PSI, 5 PSI, and that's already incredible pressure. Imagine 70,000 PSI down there. So supporting this 80-meter cubic chamber against the pressure would require advanced engineering beyond ancient capabilities, let alone today's age. Then you run into groundwater challenges and ancient tool limitations, logistics limitations. So from environmental controls that would be necessary to even work at such depths, managing air quality, temperature, and water infiltration, I mean, these would be impossible challenges to overcome, even with today's technology. These ancient builders would have faced issues without the benefit of electric pumps, lighting, ventilation systems, modern safety equipment. And so what is the answer for this? Even the material science involved in creating structures that could withstand the immense pressure at these depths is beyond what we typically attribute to ancient civilization. Even modern underground structures require carefully engineering and support systems and materials to prevent collapse over a much shorter time span. So in light of these considerations, the claimed discoveries, if verified, would not only rewrite our understanding of ancient Egyptian capabilities, but also challenge our assumptions about the technological evolution of human civilization as a whole. And so what is the answer to all of this? How did all of this come about? I do have an answer. And there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there, right? But there is a spiritual reality beyond ancient wonders, beyond these pyramids, a divine knowledge, and it's not extraterrestrial intervention. A lot of people are saying, well, these must have been aliens. These must have been out of this world that created this. And while I agree that they must have been out of this world, they were not aliens, my friends. Now, we know that these pyramids have long captivated human imagination, leading some to attribute this construction. Even now, people are saying this is aliens. But let me prove to you one thing. It is something deeper. And we're going to go into the scientific evidence and biblical revelations to suggest there is a much more profound truth that's happening here, that these structures may represent knowledge imparted not by aliens, but by fallen aliens, fallen angels. Now, archaeological evidence confirms that the pyramids were built by human hands using sophisticated yet earthly techniques. Professor Joyce Tildesley in the University of Manchester explains, if we take the Great Pyramids of Giza, we know that it was built by gangs of workers summoned under a sort of national service or corvée system. These workers used fairly basic but effective tools to cut, transport, and erect the stone blocks. The discovery of nearby limestone quarries and worker campsites further supports this human origin. Okay, so if we're talking about human origin here, how did this happen? Okay, we find evidence that there's workers, ancient tools, nearby limestones, hieroglyphic records describing construction techniques, evidence of incremental architectural development over generations. Okay, I'll give it that. But let's look at some of these things that can't be explained by human ingenuity. And so, divine knowledge theory. While humans built the pyramids, the advanced knowledge behind their design may have supernatural origins, potentially from fallen angels, according to biblical accounts. Now, what we're looking at here, okay, what we've just discovered basically says, actually, this, chances are, was not built by human hands. Chances are, what we're looking at was built by something outside of this Earth to be able to survive these extreme pressures, to be able to survive these extreme temperatures. And so what was it? Now, some will say, okay, well, they were aliens. But let's look at this, okay? Let's just look at the science of it. Distance makes interstellar travel nearly impossible. If these are aliens in the traditional sense, not the spiritual sense, right? Fallen aliens or UFOs, not fallen angels, well, the vast distances between stars, just combine the laws of physics as we understand them, make interstellar travel actually impossible. Even the nearest star to us is 4.24 light years away. Now, if you have the fastest spacecraft in the world, it would still take thousands of years to get there. Not only that, but when you consider the Goldilocks zone, Earth exists in what scientists call the Goldilocks zone or habitable zone, the precise distance from our sun where liquid water can exist on a planet's surface. NASA defines this zone as where conditions might be just right, neither too hot or too cold for life. This scientific reality suggests Earth's special nature, aligning with biblical teachings that the Earth was specially created by God as a habitable realm for humanity. Colossians 1:16, for by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible. So you see here, and here's the problem. To get to this other star, okay, well, let's say that's not an issue, 25 trillion miles. But the thing is, this star doesn't have a planet that's in the Goldilocks zone where life can exist. So we would potentially have to travel even further. And so the speed of light, right, nearly 200,000 miles per second, limits actual physical travel, fuel, radiation, life support. And you're talking potentially having to travel thousands of years to a place that actually has a Goldilocks zone. And so then what could this be? Well, let's look at the reality of angels and demons.